The presentation has been sent. I'm hoping that we can have a second start to the sharing session. Does remind me of the fact that I am all the way down in South Africa. I came to visit from the Netherlands, where of course everything is a lot smaller and very much closer. Whereas here in South Africa, everything is wide and open. So one can breathe and take in whatever comes your way. While I am waiting for the presentation, there we are. Okay, the screen is up.
This is a call from your main gate security to have a visitor. Delivery executive, Sunny.
Okay, it's some strange sounds as well. The first title page, I wanted to emphasize here that we've heard so many amazing things from people within their sphere of experience. And I want to iterate that what I'm sharing is really a very personal part of my own journey, because I started out as a teacher. I worked in some various fields before teaching, so my life experience informed my teaching experience. So even though I am working now with groups of people that are planning and managing teachers, I'm speaking on behalf of my teacher heart. So if we look at the picture that's on the screen at the moment, you'll find that this is a representation of a memory of mine. And I'd like for everybody who has a name that starts from A to M in the alphabet to look at this picture and try and connect anything that you know and what you've experienced as a teacher with this picture. Let's get to the next slide. On this slide, you'll see in the top right corner, everybody who has a name starting with N up to Z or Z, as we say in South Africa. I want you to look at this picture and just try and connect it with your experience as a teacher. Let's give that 15 seconds. The note I've made here is that we hear, and we have over this day, yesterday and also beginning today, that there's so many people who know so many things that it can be intimidating when you stand in a teacher's shoes, because they're talking about the future, and the future is way out there. But I want to focus today on what's way down here, what's inside. So we are the key. In a school, all stakeholders can be present. And if there are no teachers, nothing can happen. So that is the importance that I attribute to being a teacher. Your experience of leading starts right from the beginning, right from the point of zero. So if you can relate what you think just in 2 or 3 words, and maybe put that in the chat so that I know that you've engaged with this imagery before we go on to the next step. We can go to slide 4. Right, so let's apply some of what you have connected your being a teacher and being a teacher leader to, from the 2 photos, the 2 images that I had. I'm going to use an example because I want us to apply those thoughts. Those thoughts are very personal. They're very unique. They might connect with what other people are saying or thinking, but they might not. But that is what makes you unique, because you are a single person and your impact is unique to you. So what is the application here? I'm presented here with a chart. This happens to be a chart that I used before, just indicating numbers, and those numbers connect to geographical areas on the world map. Now, when you give this to a teacher and they're unprepared, what would they do? What would you do if you connect this to previous information? Now, I'm going to connect it because I've done the same exercise. Any information that I get, irrespective of where it is from, I would immediately bring this information into the realm of what is my experience? What am I supposed to have as an outcome for this exercise? Because it's an application, we're going to take some action. What is the outcome? What is the outcome I expect? The outcome I expect is that people will have an understanding that the teacher resource, the importance of teacher resource, is not located in a physical spot only. Your mind can go anywhere, and the technology that's available today and has proven for especially over the last 3 years for us to be very relevant is that yes, this information is relevant to me, and I can take it, use it in the application that I'm doing now, and have a specific outcome, and that outcome can be varied. Can we go to the next slide? I'd like for you to notice that all of the material that I used is referenced on the same page of the slide. Right. Okay, so I want us now to go to, and the title is missing there. It says the 4-step process. We are leaders, and for us to be able to give ourselves the input that we need daily, sometimes when things get very busy and you have to make a decision, then you get back and you think, oh, this is too much of a challenge. What am I going to do? And I'd like to suggest that if we use the concepts that are here, and they're marked A, B, C, and D, very simply, we first of all go into our thoughts. There's a cognitive process happening. We draw on our knowledge that we've gained through our experience. We have a certain understanding of things, and our level of understanding of any given aspect differs from individual to individual. We then add our experiences, and this is what I hope we can do very practically, is that we rely on our senses. And this is where the sensibility comes in. We are physical creatures. We have higher order thinking that helps us to make decisions and take next steps. But we sometimes leave what we sense, what one can call the gut feel, aside, and we shouldn't do that. The other important thing is that, yes, we have these thoughts. These thoughts always bring about feelings, the emotional aspect of being a teacher and a leader. Now, those will trigger certain behaviors, attitudes, and then when we are working with others, specifically within a teacher context or the school context, it would be a colleague or an administrator or somebody, a parent or a child. We have certain feelings that go into that. Now, the sensibility part, which is what I want to add, because it's very concrete and very simple, is that what I hear, this is a situation where there are so many sounds, especially in a school, and the other senses then add to what I feel down here. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Take the thinking, the thoughts, the cognitive aspect, the feelings, the senses add to what I feel. That then brings us to the effect we have as teacher leaders, and that is the level of confidence with which I can make a decision, I've taken in everything that I need to take in. I now make that decision. And when the decision is made, and I hope when we do the practical aspect now, you'll see that this is where I am, this is where I need to go. And the distance, the further the distance, the harder I need to work to solve the issue and have a positive outcome. Let's go to the next slide. So we start off with self. When I am in a situation where I have to be a leader. And remember, teachers, when you walk into your classroom in the morning, you have anything from 20 to 30 lives right in front of you. And they are ready to be facilitated in their journey. It means you are making the decisions, you are leading them. Next slide. Right, there is quite a lot of stuff missing on this slide. But the idea is, on the original slide, there are lists, a whole list of what a teacher leader role could be and what the outcomes for those teacher leader roles are. Now, within the context of the self, I wanted you to identify what leadership role do you fulfill at the moment? And then think immediately on what is the outcome, the expected outcome within that context. Example, say you are the chair for the English committee or the English department. What are the outcomes expected of you as a leader? If you now choose any of the others, I want you to think of three things, and the presentation is jumping ahead now, but let's go back to just as an individual. You've identified what is the role that you have and what the outcomes are that are expected. Now, note for yourself, that's the right one. Record 3 appreciations of your own. What do you appreciate about the process that you go through, identifying your role and understanding the outcome? What do you appreciate about what you can do? And it's better to write them down, whether you're a director, a principal, a chair, or just a teacher at this stage. Right, let's go to the next one. Much like with the previous presentation, within the IB context, one is never alone. You are a teacher, obviously a leader. The next step in this protocol that we're talking about, 4 steps to getting to understand your impact as a leader, is that you have at least one other colleague, whether they're in the same grade level group as you, whether they teach the same subject as you are. This now becomes from a singularity, what I am, what I can do, to I'm now with somebody else, at least one other person. How does that impact on my understanding of what I'm supposed to do as a teacher, as a leader? Because this is the start of a relationship. You meet one other person, and that's the start of a relationship. Now, that means that we have overlapping lists. We have lists of identifying our roles. We have lists of the outcomes that are expected from us. And now I'm joining somebody else. Can I, and if we go to the next slide, I want to do the same exercise. You have now recorded your value and your appreciation of what you can do for yourself. Let's carry that over to the next one, where it's not only yourself, but the relationship that you're in. I want you to now record 3 appreciations of your colleague. And if you can think back, and if I think back of my experience when I became a principal for the first time, and there were complementary principals in other sections of the school, I I definitely appreciated the fact that they were very open and very welcoming. And I think of one person in particular who was extremely understanding and very, very appreciative of the help that I was bringing into the situation. Right, let's go to the next slide. So we're talking about singularity. Now we've added one person, and now we have a relationship. Let's go to the next part. I see, yes, there we are. There we get to, and I think you can continue with that last one. So we have ourselves, the relationship with one other person, and then it develops even further, because remember, school community is quite a busy place, as you can appreciate. When one becomes part of a group, how does this affect the way we think about roles and outcomes? Because the role is something that you buy into, something that you've grown into, or something that you aspire to. But there are a set of goals. Let's go to the next slide. Those goals translate to outcomes. We've now taken the third step, ourself and multiple others. What do we think of ourselves, of the relationship, at least one other person? And now the whole aspect of group dynamics enters the fray. If you can think for yourself, think of your last group meeting in the context where you were. Maybe it's a department meeting, maybe grade level meeting, or maybe it's a meeting of the principals along with their director. Record now 3 appreciations for what you think the group as individuals and leaders have brought to you, have offered to you. And I know there one needs a little bit more time, because you have to think of multiple people, and it is not as simple as purely writing down something about yourself or something about yourself and a colleague. Let's go to the next slide. Right. Here again, magically, the chaos that I created in the background with lists and lists and lists of things to do has disappeared. Nevertheless, I think the randomness of the slide should give us an idea of where we're going. Taking the next step, and this is the 4th part of the protocol, we understand that we are now part of a community. If you click on the slide, there should be another, there we are, community. Now thinking in very short space of time, we've gone from just thinking about ourselves and our roles and the outcomes that are expected, going through to the next level of at least one other person, then a group of people. And now suddenly, when you think of, for instance, a full house staff development exercise, and I remember very fondly from my last assignment in India that we had 600 people in the same room. So that there I was myself, part of a group, and what I brought to the group now suddenly becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and less significant. And that is something that one should address. And this is why this exercise is so good, because even though you're in a hall of 600 people and everybody's there to learn, not only from whoever brings the learning opportunity or the experience to the venue, but from the person right next to you, the person at your table, from the next table, and so on and so on. I hope you can see that even though schools are such busy places, you can take it step by step all the way back to where am I as a teacher? Do I identify with the strengths that I bring to this whole community every time? Because that is what's going to give you the confidence to say, I know what I'm doing. I'm learning along with others. I'm contributing, they're contributing to me, because the actual outcome of a teacher's daily chore, if I can call it a chore, for some people it's a passion. For most of us, I think it's a passion, is to reach and ignite that wanting to learn and seeing those lights go on in the eyes of our children and our young adults. Let's go to the next slide. So here we have the full process. Step 1, self. Step 2, inner relationship. Step 3, the grouping. And step 4, where we end up, and you can see at the bottom, the very last word there says conventions. So as a group, we put our minds together and we've developed our potential and we are looking to the future, and we get to a point where we agree on certain conventions. And those conventions are called policies or processes. They come directly from the vision, mission, and the vision and the mission statement of our organization. So everything is connected. But when you reverse engineer it, where does it go? It goes all the way to self. Where am I? And daily, teachers are faced with, what am I supposed to do every day? Let's go to the next slide. Finishing off with the quote, I think I started off right in the beginning, it might have disappeared as well, is that when I walk into my classroom, when I walk into a boardroom, when I walk into a training session with professionals from all over the world, whether it's online, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, I should know what I'm looking for. And as a teacher, I have worked with many teachers from many different countries in the world. And I always celebrate the fact that when a teacher walks into a class, they may look left and right and take a deep breath, and immediately they know what they're looking for, because they know what is needed by the learners or the students or their colleagues, whichever position you walk into. Now, I want everybody to just look at, we've looked at the fact that teachers are leaders. That's a de facto expression. In a school, if a principal or a director understands the importance of the resource that teachers represent, teachers are the main resource, then their focus should be, and I'm pretty sure that if we address the group that are now all listening, there are school leaders, principals, and directors who understand that teachers are the most valuable resource and should be prized and taken care of very well. Now, teachers are the most valuable resource, but they're not the only resource. When you go into a physical building, everything is supposedly designed to enhance the learning experience of our students. Whether it is a room, whether it's an area within the school, the importance of maximizing the resources that are available to us, not only as teachers, but as leaders, principals, and directors, cannot be underestimated. But I'm biased. I want you to really look after your teachers very well, because they understand from the word go when they walk into a classroom or into a venue or into a meeting, into a planning session, it doesn't matter what it is, they know what they're looking for. And you know what you're looking for. So there's a good marriage of ideas. Teachers grow and develop, and somebody mentioned this earlier today as well. Teachers want to learn. I think becoming a teacher is fueled by the fact that you want to know. You want to know what is going on, and that carries out into the outcome of I want to help other people. Thank you very much